The core values of the Flourish Foundation inspire and inform our programming. First core value: our mental life determines the way we engage with the world.
Our mental life determines the way we engage with the world, I think, in a very profound way. And I think up until now, largely it's been dismissed, the role of the mind. There's been a huge assumption that the world is just kind of happening to us. And we can see through our own experience that it's not the case at all, that all of us are facing very similar experiences and also different experiences, but in those similar experiences, we can see there's a whole variety of responses that people bring to the table, because it's through our mind that we're really making sense of everything around us, and that will determine how we engage in the world. Flourish has been structured in a very interesting way to look at the human experience first and foremost, and to really focus on critical life stages of our human experience.
Yeah.
And so currently we have programs that engage individuals really from the time of gestation.
Mindful childbirth and parenting, inspiring conscious birthing and fostering caring relationships. Mindful childbirth can be extremely supportive to a pregnant woman and partner as they make their way through pregnancy, through all the physical sensations, the stresses of what that might bring, using tools to go in, to notice what's happening within the body and the mind, I think can only benefit the outcome of the birth experience.
I'm learning how to live in this world. I was obviously in a lot of pain, and just knowing that you have to ride those waves, and just sort of feeling more like I was in this sort of rhythm and this groove. And I guess, going to my happy place, if there were waves, maybe there was a beach nearby, and I was going to be just okay, and it wasn't going to last forever, and I was going to have this beautiful baby when it was all over.
I mean, just seeing Hannah do it all was pretty amazing. So I obviously felt like I could never do something like that, and seeing how she was able to use the stuff that we learned in the class to deal with that amount of pain was pretty unbelievable. So, I mean, just the whole experience was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
There's research that shows that there's a deeper connection to infant bonding right after birth when they are more aware. The positive attachment can just lead to so much love.
Dan, do you want to give Mickey a hug?
If you want kind and compassionate children, raise them with kindness and compassion. Truly, in order to teach our children about kindness or compassion or presence or attention,
Good.
we ourselves have to model that. We ourselves have to practice that. We ourselves have to learn that.
Do you want me to pick that one up?
This whole piece of mindful childbirth and mindful parenting really helps to nurture and nourish just a more kind and compassionate world.
3, 2,
Second core value: to sustain lasting change in the world, we need to cultivate healthy habits of mind.
When we use the word healthy habits of mind, we are talking specifically about those habits of mind that give rise to individual well-being through mental balance, and the habits of mind that give rise to collective well-being through universal compassion. When we look at just our ordinary life, so much of how we're interacting with the world is determined by underlying habits of mind. And I would say that for most of us, these habits of mind have really been accumulated unconsciously or unwittingly. And through a variety of life experiences, we've all learned kind of a set coping strategy or mechanisms to deal with different circumstances in life. And some, of course, are very constructive and very functional, and others are very restrictive and dysfunctional. One example of a healthy habit of mind would be having balanced attention. When we're in an environment where there's a lot of stimulation, how do we bring ourselves back to the task at hand, being able to sustain or maintain a voluntary flow of attention with ease, focus, and clarity? And so when we're working with the younger kids, the idea is, how do we take these ideals, these really core inner values, or these life skills that we all rely upon and we know are beneficial, and how do we actually teach them to practice those things so again that they become healthy habits of mind?
Mindful Awareness Program, elementary school, promoting life skills.
Closing your eyes, relaxing your mind, witnessing your breathing as you listen to the sound of the bell. What I love about our program and how it teaches life skills to the elementary kids is that it allows them to look within their own minds and their own thoughts and to see how they can practice sustaining focused attention. And it teaches them how to be aware of their bodies and their minds, and it teaches them compassion. It teaches them that we're all interconnected, and that what we say, think, and do affects what other people say, think, and do, and that we're not alone in this world.
And roll over onto your side and take a breath there.
Oftentimes in our mindful awareness program, especially with the 5th graders, we can see that they're doing what we say in the classroom at their own houses.
Did anyone have a chance to try that this week? Did you notice something that happened and you were able to react peacefully, or even afterwards you thought you noticed your reaction to something? Jack?
My brother, he had a friend over, and they invited me onto the trampoline with them, and then they kept on telling me not to bounce, and I was really confused. And then they just kept on saying that, and I got kind of mad, and then so I just let it go and walked inside.
So rather than he hit me, I hit him back, we're allowing these kids to pause and have some space before they automatically react, which is something that I think we could all work on.
Clear Mind, Caring Heart Program, middle school and high school, exploring the human experience.
The adolescent mind is really keen and eager to challenge existing structures and to look outside the box. Have any of you noticed what happens when you start to kind of become more relaxed and calm inside of your bodies? Do you notice what happens to your breath as we've been doing this practice? Yeah.
It kind of gets shallower and calmer. You're not breathing super fast. It's relaxed breaths.
Yeah, so it becomes much shallower and calmer. And because of that, does it get easier or harder to notice?
It depends. Sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's harder. Depends on if you're thinking about what you're going to do or thinking about what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Focusing or not.
Wonderful. Yeah, great observation.
Middle schoolers specifically, it's an intriguing time. It's a really difficult time. Kids are going through a whole set of new inner experiences that are particularly challenging. They're also seeing themselves socially in brand new ways that is really difficult for a lot of kids. And so for us to be able to give that gift of presence to middle school kids is super exciting to me.
This is so important because if a child is being overwhelmed by an emotional experience, it doesn't matter how charismatic the teacher is, how engaging the curriculum is, how stimulating the environment is. If they're literally being emotionally hijacked, they're not in a place where they're available to learn.
Compassionate Leaders Program, juniors and seniors in high school, engaging with the world.
Then we reinforce this strong ideal to be engaged in the world with opportunities for adolescents to go outside of the confines of the Wood River Valley and go do meaningful projects in the world.
We're here in Leh, India, digging out some trenches for the Mahabodhi orchard. As teenagers go through the world, they often are put in a box with the stigma of, oh, that's just a teenager, they're so emotional, they have so many issues. And what we like to do is sort of strip that away and allow them to just connect with what's going on inside by not attaching to their own thoughts, so that they don't look towards external circumstances for their own happiness. We talk about how to really generate true happiness. You have to have compassion, mental balance, and wisdom.
I think the most important thing that I've learned about happiness is that it has to be from an internal source. It cannot be from an external source, and that nothing can make you happy. You're the only one who can make you happy.
There's so many different layers that aren't taught in school about emotions and their minds and what's going on, and we really think that it's important through our program to talk about these things and ask the bigger questions, like what makes you happy, what causes you stress, and what causes you suffering and why.
Since I started the Compassionate Leaders program, I've just noticed that I've been a lot more balanced in my thoughts and my reactions to people, and basically like emotional balance. And I think it's partially or mainly because I have that knowledge and that mindset that everything can just float away. I like to think of it as like all of your thoughts are just little sounds in a creek that can just float away.
We allow them to see that a lot of their suffering comes from the inside out, and that they really have control over it. It's not what the world's doing to them, it's their position that they can take in the world to make it a better place.
Cultivating Emotional Balance, adult program, restoring meaning and purpose.
As much as we would like to consider ourselves being rational beings, making rational choices, we're very emotional beings. And we find purpose and meaning through our emotions. And the idea with cultivating emotional balance is really challenging us to break out of the ruts that we so often fall into in our lives, and to really envision new possibilities.
Living fully with dying, embracing life and death.
The goals of the Living and Dying program are really a lot about just having a community conversation that's held in this container of mindfulness, of thoughtfulness, of compassion and care, so that when they have what is arguably one of the most important conversations that we could have is about our own mortality and how we envision ourselves dying, or how we envision ourselves responding to the loss of our friends and family members that we love. We can do this in the most sensitive and wise way possible.
Third core value, healthy habits of mind continuously evolve and can be deliberately cultivated throughout our lives.
This idea of cultivating healthy habits of mind throughout our entire life is the overarching goal of the Flourish Foundation, because we believe in human beings. And we believe there's this seed of goodness in us all that can be nurtured and cultivated, and given the right circumstances, the right support from community, from family and friends, any one of us can jump into this stream of bringing forth greater mental balance and embodying universal compassion to truly make a difference in the world.